Ladies and gentlemen, we have a thriller of a tournament and we have just one more match to go, which is the final between India and South Africa. We covered a lot of different topics, but a tournament that is being said as the tournament of upsets has seen a lot of key moments so far. And with me is Parth, who's going to be taking us through those key moments and for every team and the teams that have made it till the end. And let's see what exactly are the standout performances for their separate teams. So, Parth, to start off, I want to overall, if you had to rate this tournament compared to the recent tournaments, would it stand out to you, or because there's a lot of talks about it happening in a third place where there's not a lot of following. So, where does this tournament stand to you in terms of the other tournaments?
So I think by far this is the best T20 World Cup ever that I have witnessed. I mean, if you look at all the tournaments that have gone by, and if you look at the new leagues that have come in, all the T20 leagues around the globe, when you look at this tournament in particular, it has not been an ideal tournament which you might have imagined to happen. So when you look at the pitches, there have been a lot of discussions. I guess one of the key moments of this entire World Cup is the pitch itself. That these games that have been produced, I mean the low scoring thrillers, I think that has given a very big advantage for genuine cricket fans to, enjoy cricket. And at the same time, it has also given people the real perspective that it's not always that 200, 260s, 250 is going to be made and changed. Right. This is also real cricket. This is also how cricket is played. And on a particular day, if you have 120 to defend from 120 balls, you have to do it. And I think that has actually worked well. And I guess that's the reason why this particular tournament will always be remembered. And also for the fact that it has given the other teams, like Afghanistan for that matter, it has given them the chance to, break out in such a big way where, they can tackle big teams like Australia, be it New Zealand. So again, probably by far the best tournament
so far, absolutely. And you spoke a little bit about the pitches playing a huge role, and I think as you said, they've absolutely given a level playing field, and there's not really a lot you can complain when the games are going to the last over. So one team that played a great role in making use of the pitches, as you mentioned, was Afghanistan. So talking about the key moments for Afghanistan, had a dream run coming until the semi-finals. Sadly, they had to bow down there. But which one performance or one player do you think, that's because they had a lot of names up front and even back down the order. So what is one performance or one player that stood out to you in this tournament?
See, I think when teams like Afghanistan perform, it's not just because of one player that they have reached at this point. And if you look at all the stats, you had Fazalak Farooqi, you had Naveen ul Haq, you had Rashid Khan, you had the experience of Mohammad Nabi. Maybe he might have not given you that match-winning performance, but his experience of just being there also has played a big role. And then when you look at the coaching staff, you had Trott, you had Bravo, and you had Ajay Jadeja. So when you have such a big unit with you, that's when you can actually win games and have the support of your fans back home. Afghanistan as a country is facing so many issues, but when you look at it, the support that they have got from there, the support they have got in the stadium, I mean, that is where Afghanistan has had the advantage. They have had the mindset and they have taken that forward and won the games. So it's very difficult to pick out one moment, one player from that team. The credit has to entirely be given to the entire unit.
Right, absolutely. Great words. But I think a couple of names you mentioned there were Rashid Khan and, the openers up front. Another person I think you missed out is Gulbuddin Naib.
For his He's not meant for cricket. I think he's meant for Bollywood, Hollywood now.
Yeah,
he's been going around the media for... again, one thing that has happened very good is people have not taken it in the wrong direction.
Right.
And this has, as we watch football, and we have seen this happens in football almost with every game. He was just buying time out there. And if you go by the spirit of cricket, if you go by the laws, there are different contrasting opinions that you might receive from everyone. If you ask me personally, I don't think he's done anything wrong. What he must have understood is something very wrong, because Trott was trying to tell people to go slow, and he just went
to get to the whole new level. Yeah.
That's the only thing that I feel that he could have done better. Maybe he would have gone and spoken to the bowler and bought time there. But Gulbuddin, again, and the way he ran after winning doing that.
Yeah.
So see, these are the moments that actually make the game interesting as well. T20, when we say it's entertainment, these are the things that actually make it entertaining. So it was fun.
And given the fact that it was successful in putting the Aussies out, who themselves aren't known for the spirit of the cricket, I think it's all fair game. So
see, again, when we talk about Australia, they are the world champions. So if you are a world champion and if you are doing things like that, I think other teams can do that. And if that is giving them the advantage, putting them into that position where they can also be called a champion team, I think it's fair and square.
Absolutely. So we come to Australia that we're talking about right now. So not really a great tournament for them. Just one thing that I want to mention in your story, in your answer, is that they chose to go with David Warner and without Fraser McGurk. So did that spoil their plans, or what would you think went wrong for Australia in the tournament?
So they should have gone with John Fraser McGurk, because we saw it in the IPL that he's a very good talent. But again, when you're going into tournaments like this, when Warner had already mentioned that he might retire after the T20 World Cup, so you always look at what that player can bring onto the table. David Warner is known to be that explosive batsman, and I think that is where they would have thought, let's try Warner out again. And see, for that matter, when you look at Australia as a whole unit, they have given that particular role to each and every player. Now, we saw Travis Head playing that kind of an innings in the IPL. We thought he would be the perfect opener for Australia, but when he came into this World Cup with the conditions out here, he couldn't actually perform the way he was doing in the IPL. And even towards the later stages of the IPL, he couldn't actually give that start to SRH. So when we look at that, choosing David Warner over any other player, I don't think Australia have done anything wrong. Yeah, but maybe going ahead, when they have to realize that, okay, if there are certain things that we could have changed right before the tournament, I think they should give a thought to, maybe keep Warner out and bring in some young generation, young talent into it, so that they can carry the legacy of Australian team forward.
And Mitchell Marsh's captaincy, do you think that's caused a few questions?
Pat Cummins,
he set the bar very high.
I genuinely thought he was going to be the captain. It was a very strange call, because he's done everything right. Since the time he's been the captain for Australia, he's got all his cards at the perfect spot. And, that is where I felt maybe Pat Cummins could have been the captain. But also another reason what I look at it is that maybe they wanted to give Pat Cummins the break from that captaincy pressure, because he's been continuing for so long. They thought maybe just giving him the free hand to play as a bowler, or just give his all-round capabilities would be much better than giving him the captaincy role. So again, Australia has missed a trick there as well. Maybe if Pat Cummins would have been the captain, he would have brought his entire experience onto the table, and you never know, maybe won this T20 Cup.
It would have been a whole different story. So another team where the tournament didn't go so great as of yesterday is the England team, or the reigning champions, so to say. But they met with India and kind of got the revenge for the last World Cup. So what do you think went wrong for England? Because honestly, looking at it, they weren't in their best. There was a point where they probably couldn't have reached the Super 8s as well. But once they got into Super 8s, probably to get to the semi-final, they played their A game. So what do you think went wrong for England?
I think you mentioned it, that there was a stage where you felt they will not even reach to the Super 8. So that sums up the entire story for England. Now that they managed to get into it, there was a chance where they had to just play their best cricket and they could have reached the finals now. But for England, I think the phase from 2015 to 2022 was the best.
Right.
That is where England have performed their best cricket across maybe all formats. And that is where they should have tried and won everything that they could, because I don't think before 2015 they were a great squad, and after 2022 they are not playing as per the level that they have to. So I don't think England were in that mindset, or they were actually lacking. When you look at that squad, you don't feel they lack anything. You have perfect middle order. You have all-rounders playing there. You have Sam Curran, you have Livingston, you have Brook, you have Bairstow, you have Moeen Ali. So you have the best of the best players. But I think the combination was not right. Maybe they could have brought in someone else, or maybe they could have changed the batting orders. That is something that may be questioned out. But you have all the players, and I guess it's just the matter of the mindset that has made them lose the
kind of similar results in the 2023 World Cup as well, where they didn't do greatly. One team that everything has come together perfectly has to be South Africa, given the fact that most of their wins are last over thrillers, and they just edged Nepal in the last run. So and we were just talking before the show that they deserve it. They've been up and about and almost there, but they have that chokers tag and all of that. So your thoughts on South Africa's campaign so far, and you also gave a little bit of a what would you say, diabolical statement that you wouldn't mind if South Africa wins. I don't know how our Indian audiences would take that, but what would you say with South Africa's run in this tournament?
Markram as a captain, I mean, I've been a fan of him, and the way he has carried this South African team, it's just commendable. I mean, when you look at Markram, you will not expect him to be someone who will, drive that team forward.
Right.
But his composure is so calm. The way he knows which player is right for that particular moment. What he has done with SRH, also as a player, I mean, that is also something that he is known to carry that team forward, and he has played in that under-19 World Cup for South Africa,
and
winning 6 games in 6 matches all together. Then in the 23 World Cup, I guess he came in for Temba Bavuma, and then he won 2 games there, and now he's been winning all the games here as well. So Markram as a captain has been the right call for South Africa. And when you look at all the other players who are stepping in, again, last time when we were discussing before their semis, that probably South Africa has not peaked so far.
Right.
And I still would say that they still haven't peaked. They're probably the best batting is kept for the finals. Their bowling unit is doing the work properly. But again, their batting unit is something that I feel hasn't peaked, because when you look at players like Klaasen out there, Miller out there, Hendricks has not played as per the level of cricket that he has shown domestically or in any other international tournaments. So South Africa still has a lot of cricket to peak so far, and when I guess that may happen in the finals. And the reason for me to say that South Africa would win the finals is because, again, I don't want to keep any expectations from India, because we have had a lot of trauma before. I still feel that winning the game against Australia was not a revenge for what they did to us in the 2023 finals. We will, I guess that is something that we will get the revenge only when we have a 50-over World Cup in hand. And I think Rohit Sharma also has that in mind. He might win this. I would genuinely want Rohit Sharma to win this, because the kind of player that he has not received that affection or that love that maybe Mahendra Singh Dhoni has got, or maybe the previous captains have got. And it has all happened because there has been a debate between who's better, Rohit or Kohli. Just imagine, like, if you are a country like Australia and you have players like Marnus just coming into the squad, and you have accepted Smith and Marnus together. And that's the reason why both of them have able to, play out so well.
True.
That there is no differentiator between them. If Smith maybe fails one innings, you don't try and put Marnus above, oh wow, Marnus has played well, Marnus has scored 100, Smith is nowhere in the picture and all. That is what has exactly happened with Rohit and Virat. Once a player falls or is not making that runs, you suddenly put the other player so up where you start comparing, criticizing the other. And that is where I guess the respect that these two guys deserve, Rohit and Virat, that has not been given to them. So for Rohit winning this cup, it's a very important thing, I would say. Also because he wanted to win the 23 World Cup, which he couldn't do. And now if that happens, I would rate him probably one of the best captains for India.
Absolutely.
And South Africa will have to worry about how Rohit is playing in this tournament. I mean, his aim is very clear that he is going to be the one that's going to drive the team forward. Yeah. But the way South Africa have played throughout the tournament, winning all the matches that were so close, at every point you thought that this is when they're going to choke, but they didn't. So how have they changed that thought is probably something that only Markram may let us know if they win the finals, and maybe he can, someone has to actually go and document that. True. That how has South Africa come out of that situation. But when you look at South Africa reaching the finals now, winning 8 games, they haven't had a game which has been washed out or anything. So they have played all the 8 games, won all the 8 games. And hopefully, if they can continue the momentum, I think the whole world will be happy for South Africa.
Absolutely. And I think Markram, as you said, has this success mantra that he definitely needs to share with a lot of us. But one thing that's been different with South Africa this time around is that I've heard that they got rid of the quota system, where the amount of blacks to whites has gotten. So, but again, on the field performances is speaking for itself. You spoke a little bit of Rohit Sharma and India's chances and how we're not getting our expectations high. But we need to speak about our motherland. And given the fact that we just got done with the IPL and the kind of pitches we saw in India were absolutely different, were belters. 250 was a par score, and the way they adapted to when they were playing in USA to 120, although maybe against Ireland they looked a bit off, but the way they've been able to assess, and especially Rohit Sharma that you mentioned, that he's been able to lead from the front and play that selfless game that he does. I know you don't want to press a lot about India because it gets our expectations high, but what is that one moment that stood out, or what do you think of India's performances up till now?
See, India has always been performing in the ICC tournaments. I mean, when you look at teams not winning the trophy is when you call that team successful or not. But if you look at how consistent we have been performing, yes, we have reached at almost the knockout stages of every ICC tournament. It's just that matter of going just beyond that line and winning that cup, which we haven't been able to do. And that is where a lot of people have put India also into that chokers tag. So I would say India is again playing the best cricket that it has been. 2023 World Cup, we saw it. Even in the WTC, we saw it, that they reached the final. It's just that matter of crossing the line, which we are not able to do. But when you're looking at this World Cup, the match against Pakistan was something where, the entire team might have gone through that phase where they felt they were going to lose it. But once they picked that momentum up from there, I think they have never looked back. And one of the key players for India, apart from Rohit Sharma, has been Jasprit Bumrah. And I think if going by what they are playing, and if India goes on to win it, Jasprit Bumrah is going to be the man of the tournament.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is one bowler that has impressed everyone around the world. He is going to be one of the top bowlers of all times. He's legend. He's a goat, and I guess we will never. I don't know, because see, it's very difficult to have all format players, and he's still someone who's performing in all the formats. Maybe we might have Siraj, who's playing in T20. He played in ODI. He played in Test also, but he's not able to show that consistency, show the results like what Bumrah is doing. So it's very difficult to have players, who can perform in all the formats. And I don't think we might have another player who can replicate what Bumrah has done for us. So, we talk about the form of Virat Kohli. Again, we have no idea what is happening with him. With the kind of IPL that he had, everyone had very high expectations from him. Like every time when he comes out to bat. The team is still backing him. Rahul Dravid, Rohit Sharma for that matter, also are backing him. They would want him to perform. They are trying to tell people that his best cricket is yet to come. The only worry is that it shouldn't be too late.
Right.
If it's not there in the finals, this is going to be the worst ICC tournament ever for Virat Kohli. And when you look at the previous tournaments, he was man of the tournament for 2 ICC events, the T20 World Cups. He's been the player he scored the most runs for India in 2 other T20 World Cups. So he's performed every time, but that is when the team hasn't won, or maybe other players couldn't step up. And this is the time when he's not able to perform, but the others are putting in. And when you look at this broader picture, there shouldn't be a problem in this. But again, it's the fan war that has led to, putting him down, putting other players up. And that is where I guess we are also failing as fans of this country. If we all try and, somehow take this Rohit versus Kohli battle out, is when you can see both of them performing together, and you'll see again for them it is very important to have our support. As much as we speak about it, India's chances in every tournament, wherever they go, is always high because they have the kind of support wherever they go. In all the stadiums, may it be at the remotest part of any country, you will have a section of Indian fans, maybe 30 to 40% every time, at least I'm saying. So that is the support that our team has got over the years. And if these two players, if they have the same support from all of them combined, I think we would have won trophies even before that.
And especially Kohli, who feeds on, from the crowd, has absolutely been amazing. So I just made one prediction in the last segment. You spoke about Kohli not coming to the game. I really feel he's going to be the man of the match in the final. Commit the man, commit the hour. I really feel it's going to be his time, but yeah, never say never. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And you spoke about Bumrah. I think what I feel is when he initially came onto the scene, not a lot of people were able to decode him, and they thought it was because of the action. But he's been around for a while, and he's absolutely been a cheat code. So
see, you have all the technology. You can read a player's action. You can read his bowling lengths, line, everything. But when a player of a caliber like what Bumrah has, I mean, no amount of technology, no amount of brains will help you to decode that player, because what happens there out on the pitch, only he knows what he's doing it.
Right.
And if I'm just thinking what would have happened if Bumrah was from another country and we might have had to face him. I think Rohit and Kohli would have been in the dugout probably in the first 2-3 overs.
Yeah.
So that is the level of Jasprit Bumrah. I mean, the kind of performance that he gives in every game, and I think we are very lucky that we have him in our squad.
Right, everything going great for Bumrah this season, but there's another team which didn't go great for them, has to be New Zealand. You spoke about consistency of India. They've also been a team that's consistently come to the knockouts. Couldn't replicate it this season. Could be pointed to a lot of reasons. I think they didn't have a lot of experience in the IPL because a lot of their main players were sitting down. But that being said, against all odds, they were always stepping up and increasing the game. So what went wrong for New Zealand?
I can still imagine Kane Williamson just smiling out if this question would have asked, someone would have asked him this. But I think New Zealand have done pretty well in all the ICC tournaments that they've played before. Coming into this tournament, maybe lack of match experience, maybe not knowing what their combinations are. And I think they lost the momentum very early in the tournament, and they couldn't come back into the scheme of things as the other teams managed to do that. And losing against, I guess, Afghanistan was a very big challenge that they had to go through. So when you look at all those things, you feel that New Zealand could have done better. And the way they have been performing throughout, I mean, through all the ICC tournaments, there is a time where they're not going to play well. And I think this was just one phase. They shouldn't bother much about it. The only concern for New Zealand as an entire team is that a lot of players are rejecting the contracts. As we saw, the central contracts are being rejected by these players. So that is something that the New Zealand board has to, take into consideration, maybe sit down and think about it. But I would still say this was just one-off tournament that they couldn't peak. They'll surely come back again.
Absolutely. I think that covers most of the teams. Just one more topic that's been going around during this tournament has been the fact that more teams were involved. And ICC took a step towards making it, popular in the United States as well. So that being said, the kind of different pitches and the amount of teams that participated, all these associate nations that participated, we saw a couple of, Nepal came very close to beating South Africa. So that would have been a game changer, and USA had a couple of upsets, to Pakistan, and they came really close with India as well, with Netravalkar bowling really well. So what does this mean, and what are your thoughts about these associate nations, about their performances as a whole, Uganda, PNG and all of them, and going forward, do you want to see more teams part of the World Cup, even the 50-over World Cup? We say it's a World Cup, we have only like 8 to 10 teams participate. Correct. So what does it mean for the growth of the game and for these associate nations as well?
See, for them to, play at this big stage is a massive opportunity. But when you look at how they have come into this tournament, you talk about USA, the players that are playing might have come from their full-time jobs.
Yeah.
But that's not how you enter an ICC tournament. You need to, have a good amount of match practice. You need to play against these nations before the tournaments, maybe 1 or 2 years before the tournament starts. And I think that is where ICC should try to, give them that amount of matches, make them travel from their own state or own country to another states, another countries, and give them that exposure of playing the matches, playing these big tournaments, put them into IPL, put them into other leagues is where they'll get the exposure of playing in such big tournaments. So I think that is where ICC should play its part. Having so many teams, that's where you have good results, you have good matches, close matches. You never know which team on that particular day can beat any other team, and that can only happen when you have teams like Ireland at that point of time. They used to beat England, and see this is how these teams grow. If you look at Afghanistan, they have managed to do this because they have been consistently playing cricket across the globe, be it against the team or be those individual players going and playing for franchises. But when they come back as a unit is when they are actually performing. And I think this is the template that has to be for all the other teams out there. And the more number of teams participate, the better matches you have, a lot of crowd support you have. People from across the globe will come and support, and that will bring more traction towards the game. So I guess that's how it should go forward.
Absolutely, and I think it's a one right step towards that. Reaching that place where more people and European countries, who knows, maybe part of we can have a Spain 11 probably.
You never know, because see, cricket can be played by anyone. I'm not saying that it's just like you bring them and put them into the tournament, but again, you need to give them that amount of practice, the facilities, the infra and everything. Once you have given it to them, maybe a roadmap of 5-6 years can be mapped out, and that is where you can bring all those teams into the scheme of things. And considering that Olympics also is going to put cricket, we saw it now in the Asian Games that we won it, if Olympics also has cricket, and if that's the way they want it to go forward, it's better that we have a lot of teams participating. Then it can actually become a EPL tournament or La Liga maybe, or anything like that. So it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I think that brings us to the end of our show. Thank you, Parth, for giving your valuable insights. We're talking about how the game has to grow in the next 5 to 6 years. But cut to tomorrow, India will be taking on South Africa for one last encounter. Both the teams really need it. South Africa has been wanting it for a few years. India has been wanting it for a few years. We'll have to wait till the end of the 40 overs to know who the winner is. We'll be back with more content. Until then, stay tuned.